Hey, boys and girls, weather report for September 30th, 2022. And, I'm 26,200 today. So this is the 100-day thing. And back in March, when I turned 26,100, I marked it and I wanted to know what am I going to accomplish between those 2 points. And I don't know. And it's interesting to reflect on that.
So, like on your hundreds versaries, don't you like buy cupcakes for everybody who is part of the weather report, either in the side chat or participating?
No. One of the things that I accomplished in the last 100 days is quitting cupcakes.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it no fun.
Yeah, losing about 20 pounds and getting most of my lungs back and my ability to walk up hills and all that I did was one of the things I accomplished. Anyway, and some other things, but this egg, I don't know. It's really sad that Gerstreams is like trying to snipe our users.
Yeah, and he's also sniping other people's videos.
Yeah, he's talking about sex offending Muslims, I think.
Trying to use their content to boost his numbers, which is deplorable. Deplorable.
Yeah. So anyway, Gerstreams is sniping us. I went out and got double vaccinated earlier, and I'm not feeling. Suddenly, I'm really tired. My arm is sore.
I hear that happens. Plus, you went out and physically exerted yourself a little bit, which is great because you did that 2-mile deal. But
a big walk. Yeah, we didn't get
recovery is important. You should keep some chocolate milk around the house.
Right. We risked our lives this morning going for a walk in the valley. I did not get my son's message telling me that they were shooting deer down there with bow and arrow.
Yeah, silent death.
Yeah. Yep, and I avoided that. What else happening? Okay, so we got a bunch of stuff. So the first thing we are going to do, unless I'm really sick tomorrow, we're going to do, go ahead and tell me the name. Rosenhaus?
Well, months ago, we did part 1 of a series, which was chapter 6 of the book. Now I'm forgetting the name. The failure.
Failures of math. It's right on the screen, Scott.
Yeah, the failures of mathematical anti-evolutionism.
Right.
Which it was written by mathematician, a PhD mathematician and professor at, I forget his university, but and he, being well read and having talked to a lot of creationists, knows all about creationism. So he knows their tricks and everything, and the way they misuse mathematics. And so we're going to be covering his coverage of those topics, like in the areas of probability, of evolution, of combinatorial numbers because of the way DNA works and things like that. So it shows what people like Behe and Meyer and others have done with math to mislead people. And so that's a very important thing, because there's really very few rhetorical devices more effective than bad mathematics.
Yeah, that's a cool one right here. Genetics is different from computer science.
Uh-huh.
Just so we
Yep.
know. And he's
Probability
got,
theory,
yep,
which is chapter
information and
5.
combinatorial search, thermodynamics,
And of course, thermodynamics.
and epilogue. Again, bad math can be rhetorically effective. That's actually the name of something in the epilogue. So,
That's right, Dave M. I am sporting the sweet brimmed hat. I just decided today, people were making fun of my fedora-ness in the side chat on Grur's string. I hold Grur responsible for that. But I decided, hey, I'm feeling a wild hair here. I think I want to wear a different hat than the 2 or 3 that I normally wear. So this was part of a what's the term, steampunk themed party I went to one time, and dressed up in leathery stuff, and I had my steampunk goggles and the short. I forget what kind of hat this is. It's some sort of top hat, but yeah, it's really fun, and I like this hat, and I should probably get more highfalutin hats like this.
I think that's called, I'd call that a half Lincoln.
Half Lincoln.
Half Lincoln. Yeah, it's a good
That's
name
good.
for it.
That's really and that way, if I become a lawyer, I could be the half Lincoln lawyer.
Right.
And then the judge would like fine me all the time because I refused to take my hat off in court.
First thing we have linked in the description is starting at 5 p.m. today. And
Central Time.
That is, yep, and that is this one on Myth Vision podcast. Akhenaten.
The topic will be the King Akhenaten, who, in a very revolutionary, wild move, canceled all the other gods of the day and made everybody start worshiping Akhenaten, which is the sun god, the disk, the beautiful glowing golden disk of the sun. And Dr. Kara Cooney, who wrote a book, included him in one of her books. We'll be talking to Derek about that, because the other people, many other people in the scholarly fields, think that is where the idea of monotheism came from. And so I think Dr. Cooney has seen lots of parallels between that and the Hebrew Bible. And so she'll be talking about that with him. And she at least in her book, The Man Who Would Be God, or Who Would Be King, talked about Akhenaten and brought up some very interesting things. So if you don't watch it live, please put this on your playlist in order to catch it later. I think you'll learn some good stuff.
Answer something here. 2,263,000, probably about 900 roughly seconds old. So 2,263,000 seconds old. Oh, well, I lost some zeros there. God damn it.
And some days I feel every one of them.
2, 6 today. Yeah, right now I do. 900. And I got to put those 3 zeros at the end or we ain't going to be accurate. Oh, and by the way, the other day I called lysine and arginine fucking isomer, and I've been living in shame ever since. My brain wasn't working. I'm sorry, not an isomer. It's just that it's the same functional group, just organized differently with an extra carbon or 2. So forgive me. I was wrong when I said that. Shouldn't have said that. Okay, so I linked Gerstream so that everybody can quit watching him now and watch him later. So I put a link to Gerstream. And then we have, let's see, Ben Clive, the Mad King. That was our comedian.
That was pull that one up.
What?
There's a story with that one, the Glebe one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Ben Glebe, the Mad King.
Ben Glebe. Put him up here. Get a copyright strike?
No, just hold. Just we don't even have to play it. Just pause it there. Now this particular guy, Ben Glebe, he's a stand-up comic. He also co-hosts Rebel HQ and some of the other shows on the Young Turks. That doesn't look like. Is that Ben Glebe?
I don't know.
Oh, it's probably the announcer, but or that, or he just really has gained weight. But there was. If you surely you know.
Wait a minute. You gave me the wrong link.
Did I give the wrong link?
Yeah, this is Andrew Schultz. What's going on, Scott? I trust you. I trust you, dude.
Oh, the tab says Ben Glebe, the Mad King.
Yeah.
I think he's just either. Yeah. No, I'll give you the right one. I just clicked on the description.
Oh, here we go. I don't know what happened.
You might have hit the next button.
I did.
But anyway, so George Carlin had a daughter who is still around. She has a podcast and everything on like Sirius XM. And she said that Ben Glebe reminds her more of her dad than any other comedian. So that made me think, I got to watch that just because of the high praise of that comparison.
Yep.
So I haven't seen the special yet. It's on YouTube, so you can access it right now just by clicking on that link and staying away from the next button.
You can look at my description. Yeah,
it's down in the description. So anyway, go there and click on that and put that in your save for later watch list and watch that and maybe we'll see if he's anything like George Carlin or if he's just his own kind of comedian and it's worth watching or not.
Yeah. Okay, quickly. Jay Bundy, he today has Darwin's Law, Tower of Babel by Pennock. He's doing chapter 1, part 2. He did part 1 yesterday, I think. And then he also has, let's see, yesterday he had a thing on digital evolution with
here's what I found.
Shut up. Avita,
yeah.
And he got into it a little bit, showing some of the Python functions and talking about sexual mating. And then we have, let's see, I relink Secular Soapbox, Origins of the Christian God with Derek Lambert on Skeptic Haven. I think we linked it the other day too. And then we have Joel Duff. Ken Ham adds a PhD paleontologist to the AIG staff, who is Dr. Gabriela Haynes. And I guess he's having trouble figuring out who she is.
Yeah.
Exactly. He found another creationist with the same PhD advisor from the same college. So I don't know, maybe they're churning them out down there. Maybe we got to check that college out.
Yeah, and Dapper Dinosaur also did a review of the. Apparently, there's is it Evolution News that AIG does or whatever their journal is? Dr. Haynes did, and she's legitimately has a PhD. She's her specialty was bees and wasps of ancient times, and so, but she did a some sort of paper or some sort of writing, shall we call it, on Archaeopteryx, and Archaeopteryx is very different from the insects of the Jurassic and before. So anyway, there are some critiques there of that, and Dr. Duff also goes over her PhD thesis, and then another paper she did around the time that she was trying to get her master's degree, and he really points out the tension between the stuff she wrote as a person trying to get their PhD, and then the stuff she says now that she's working for AIG. And it's not like she had a change of heart somewhere. She started out as a creationist and went for that PhD, and so ended up writing things she doesn't actually believe. So that is kind of strange.
Yeah, he was making the case that was dishonesty right there.
Yeah,
basically, and they do that a lot. And let's see. Okay, there's a new channel called Advice Wanted that I was not aware of with producer Wes, and he's a new subscriber. And I looked at his stuff, and he seems to have a whole bunch of really interesting videos and a lot of Matt Dillahunty clips and some good interviews, and so a lot of content. And he gets it's really odd, but he gets some really small amounts of views and some really large amount of views. And he's got one with 35K views, but then he's got a lot of 28 and 38 and 58. So anyway, everybody should go check this channel out and see. I think maybe subscribe to this guy. It looks like a lot of content.
Hey, since it looks like Andrew won't be coming, do we want to go ahead and...
I did.
Oh, so you sent an email to Nestle?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Check your email, Nestle.
Yeah, I'm not that tired, but I'm pretty tired, but not that tired. Anyway, and what do we got here?
Here's an interesting comment from Dave M.
Dave M.
Yeah, Joel was polite but brutal about her dissertation and stuff. Yeah. Gabby is the worst paleontologist ever.
Yes. And
like a new staff member, right?
Yep.
Relatively new. She's been around since 2019.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And the other thing I linked is this Origins of Multicellularity. It's kind of an old article from 2010 about the Volvox and how they apparently spontaneously started to use existing mechanisms to clump together and I believe fight predators. Is that what it is, Nestle? I can't remember the article exactly, but the Volvox. This article.
I've heard that it's one of the hypotheses for why multicellularity evolved, because it protects against predation against bigger
Yep.
cellular protists, right? Because now you are too big to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One possibility. And the other one is that it could have just been kind of a mistake, things clumped together. They have sticky surfaces.
Interesting. Go ahead.
They have sticky surfaces, and they basically secrete all sorts of signals to other organisms, or secrete signals accidentally. And anyway, and I'm not going to be able to say anything intelligent today, am I, Scott? I'm fucked.
I have faith in you. You may squeeze something intelligent out.
Well, Hymenoptera is the word you were looking for before for bees.
Okay, well, there you go. See, that's intelligent right there.
Yeah, you did say something interesting regarding how it could be an accident. Like there is this idea called what's it called again?
The
neutral drift or neutral constructive neutral evolution.
Right. Or what is it? Frozen accident, that sort of thing.
No. It's constructive. Like I'm referring to constructive neutral evolution, where you have the first step is neutral, And the second step is also neutral, but now because of the second step, you no longer can go backwards, because backwards will be detrimental, basically. So you have a ratchet effect, basically, where you only can go in one direction but no longer go back.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just wanted to play this little bit from Seigart. So let's play this through and listen to what he said about multicellularity, which kind of, I was disappointed inside when he said this.
The origin of eukaryotes, the origin of multicellular organisms, not only are not explained by evolution, they kind of contradict it. And just to use that, and I'm speaking as someone who agrees with the general theory that it's correct, but it doesn't explain huge things. So, for example, one of the things with the origin of multicellularity is cells, which up until then were individual actors in the struggle for existence, right? I mean, so if a particular cell had a mutation that allowed it to do something better, it would be selected for. It would survive, according to standard Darwinian theory, right? But as soon as it becomes part of an organism, that competition has to stop. It can no longer behave. It can no longer behave as if it is in competition with all its neighboring cells in the organism. How does that happen?
Okay. So how many ways is he wrong there? I mean, okay, he mistakes natural selection for this competition with other cells, or like everything's out to kill everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's first mistake. That isn't how natural selection works at all. It's not out to do anything. It's selecting for the most advantageous. Now, if you have a group of cells and they get together and they all have an advantage from that, they're not going to have some historical cultural competition with each other where they have to eat each other. That isn't what they do. It just isn't what's happening.
Yeah, the annual algae kill fest or whatever.
Yeah, so that's like a complete. What do you think? That's like a complete misunderstanding of natural selection. That there's this competition between cells. No, there ain't. There isn't. That's all they care about is living. They don't care about competing with the other cell.
Well, surely he knows that there are things like stop codons, that cause an activity to stop in the DNA. So whatever, codes for I don't even know what you would call it, for lack of cooperativeness, or codes for aggression, just might not code as much for it over time.
Yeah, there was no such thing as aggression at this level, right?
Yeah.
At this level of cells. They weren't out there thinking, oh, I got to eat my neighbor, otherwise he's going to eat me. It's like, no, that's just a complete misrepresentation of natural selection. Right. at that particular level of evolution. Did not happen. In fact, that kind of aggression probably didn't happen until humans popped onto the scene, where we could plan ahead and plot vengeance and plot, advantage on people. Other than that, everybody just got along and tried to live. And if living happened to mean snuggling up to a neighbor, well, then there you go. It's going to be selected for. So I just thought that was a horrible misunderstanding.
Right. He's just trying to get along, go along with the two people that he's in the room with.
Oh God, we can make that excuse for him, but I can't believe he said that out loud.
Yeah, I don't want to say what his actual motivations are, but yeah, he should know better about evolution than that, because things do, and you're right, at that level, cooperation is meaningless, but you do see in nature where cooperation does occur. So to say you have to forget about that, it's not impossible. You can
Yeah,
go
well-
from being antagonistic to cooperative.
Yeah, when we're jumping ahead 2 or 3 billion years to where animals started to develop really complex behaviors, that sort of thing. Yeah, but not at this level, not at the level that multicellularity started. There was no, there was no intentions, and that's one of the things that he's kind of looking for, is that this teleology, that somehow there was teleology in nature and that sort of thing. And that just isn't what happened.
Sort of a cognitive bias there, looking for it.
And that concludes anything reasonable or rational that I'm going to be able to say today. So, anyway, what do you think, Nestle?
Oh, I was in the meantime looking up some old papers that I have noted before, and one interesting is it's a bit of an old paper, but it's an interesting thing to say that, like they say that as if you have like a colonial group, basically each individual can still reproduce. So it's not really multicellular yet, but if
Right.
But the researchers show that if the population becomes big enough, then the cost of reproduction becomes high enough such that the group becomes basically an individual where reproduction is basically unified by the whole group as one.
Yeah.
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 So I can link the papers if you want.
Yes, please. In private chat. I got it.
One's an old paper, but another one is a more recent paper by the same author. Yeah.
Okay. We got evolution of individuality. Come on, get rid of me. Did I successfully get rid of me? I did. Let me put that in. Anyway, we should talk more about that at some point, but not ready right now, to tell you the truth.
Oh, and also the mathematical formula also matches closely with what was observed in the Volvocines, like smaller, like Volvocines with smaller cell counts don't have like true multicellularity because the individual cells can still reproduce autonomously, but with the bigger ones with more cells, then they have like a more increased interdependence, basically, where only a few specialized cells reproduce.
And there is a lot more to be said about all this, but the let's see, in this article, an interesting thing is multicellular organisms may have been able to build a more complex molecular machinery largely from the same list of parts that was already available to their unicellular ancestors. And so they had basically surface proteins that allowed them to stick together. There was all sorts of extracellular matrix being built already around the individual cells. And all of that was co-opted basically into this multicellular pattern that popped up. And I'm going to quit trying to say things. If that's okay.
You know, if more people would quit trying to say things, this would be a much better world.
Right. I'm going to quit trying to say things.
This
Anyway.
is your first step for a better world for everybody.
My first step for shut the fuck up. Yeah. Anyway, what else? I think we covered everything that's in the description, and we're at 4:30. I don't know what to do next.
Does anybody want to come in and raise a topic, ask a question?
Yeah, we got to quit at 5 though, because Myth Vision is starting at 5, and I think we all should go over and listen to that. That looks like a good one. And God forbid, don't go to Gurr Streams. Oh my God.
Stay away from there. Dangerous things going on.
It's horrible.
Terrible. Terrible.
Horrible. Or he's still going. He's still blathering over there. What the fuck is he blathering about now? Let's see. Just, oh no. Dive. Let's go snipe him.
All you're doing is I will say this, you're being insensitive to people who subscribe to whatever given holy book. But again, it's
enough of that shit. Yep. So
Yes, when
so
you
he's-
hurt someone's religious feelings, the whole
He's
world
one-
should stop and tend to their boo-boo spirit.
he is such a snowflake, you know? I mean, really. Anyway, guys, want to shoot her in the head? Or do you got anything you want to talk about, Ness?
Now, Icarus says, don't go stream. You might get theism or worse, atheism when you go there.
You catch
Oh,
atheism?
don't go to Gur streams. Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
Like I was wondering if you perhaps could show like the first paper that I shared with you and read one interesting paragraph, because I think it's a good.
Okay.
I scroll down to the section, how does a group become an individual? Like it's almost all the way at the bottom before acknowledgement. Like you can see in the sidebar on the left. No, further down. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Let's see here. Get rid of that. Okay. Pop it up. Okay. For some reason, let me see.
Maybe control minus. Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's fine. Or do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
No, you definitely want to read it. I can't even talk right now. So.
All right. It says, let us return to the basic question asked at the beginning of the article. How is it that a group becomes an individual? In answering this question, we assume that there is a selective benefit for forming groups and for increasing group size. We also assume there is a means of forming groups, such as by cells sticking together after cell division. According to our hypothesis, as colonies increase in size, the cost of reproduction increases, and the curvature of the trade-off between reproduction and viability goes from concave to convex. This convexity of the trade-off curve selects for specialization in reproductive and vegetative viability enhancing functions. So germ and soma specialization. As cells specialize in these essential fitness components, the fitness of the cells declines while the fitness of the group increases. The covariance effect further enhances the fitness of the group. As a result of the specialization of the cells, fitness is transferred from the cell to a group level, and the group becomes indivisible and an individual. So yeah, it's a pretty logical explanation, although maybe of course there's more to it than that, as you have said before. Yeah.
There's a lot of small steps that you have to work on and consider and think about. And when people blather stuff like Seigart blathered earlier, he's not thinking any of it through, not looking up any of the papers, not trying to solve the problem. And that is pretty typical of people who have already formed a conclusion because the Bible, the Bible first, and shut off all other thinking about anything at all.
And there's plenty of propagandists out there who would just love to exploit that from Psi, because they're taking Psi speaking out of turn, out of office, he's just not, he ain't in his right mind for speaking as a scientist, yet they're using that scientific credential of his to say, hey, this is a scientist, so what he's saying must be correct, even though his own discipline, doesn't really accept what he's saying, or it's just, he just is acting like he totally misunderstands evolution.
Yeah, in the middle there, he said that he basically and he believes in evolution. He buys into it, right? And still, he finds it impossible to understand how multicellularity could have evolved if all cells are out there with the intention of trying to kill each other.
And we've watched that happen in the lab, right? I mean, can't you do a differential in the genetics to understand how they did that? And I wonder, I guess we need to look that up and present it. What the unless they're still studying it and don't really know yet, but what's the differential in the genetic makeup that causes that to happen?
Yeah.
Actually, Jackson Reed talked to a guy many months ago where who altered the paper, like they've observed yeast becoming multicellular and also forming very complex structures even as it became multicellular. But there is also another interesting that I was reminded of is that in eukaryotes they have like a special type of flagellum, not the same as the bacterial flagellum, and the eukaryotic flagellum is based on the same type of molecular complexes that basically control cell division. So what this means is that eukaryotes cannot use a flagellum as they are dividing. So one of the ideas is that eukaryotes became multicellular to basically divide the task of movement powered by the flagellum and growth, basically, because then like on your own you cannot do both at the same time, but when you work together you can do both, moving around with the flagellum and growing yourself, basically. That's one of the ideas that I've seen floating around.
Yeah, and there's a primitive structure that prokaryotes have that that is not a flagella. That's a lot simpler, and I keep forgetting what it's called. Symbiotic
cilia, maybe.
Gracilicutes. Symbiotic gracilicutes. They have something to do with. Let me see here. Yeah, I don't know. I have to read about them, but I found them the other day, and then I forgot about them. But there's an article called "Evolution of the Flagella" in the Wikipedia, which talks about irreducible complexity, and then they go ahead and they talk about it.
Is it about the bacterial flagellum or the eukaryotic flagellum?
Let's see. The evolution of flagella. I think they're talking about prokaryotic.
How do you spell that gracilicutes thing? How are you pronouncing it?
It is. Let me link this.
Symbiotic gracilicutes.
Look up evolution of the flagella with the Wikipedia, and you'll find an article on it. That leads you to a whole lot of papers. Yeah.
No, I think I remember it. No, it doesn't like.
I'm still not finding what I want though. There's another structure that some bacteria have that basically, I think, injects DNA into other bacteria or something. It's something on that order, and that has a lot of the parts of the flagella, but not all of them. And it doesn't have a flagella, basically. It's a much more primitive structure.
But I have to say, like you're referencing like one of Margulis's ideas of endosymbiosis. Like she's very well known for her hypothesis on that the mitochondria and chloroplast are endosymbionts. But she also proposed specifically that the eukaryotic flagella are also symbionts, but that idea has not panned out.
Yeah, there was something else. What is it? Tubulin dynein. I'll find it. We'll talk. We'll talk about it on Monday.
I'm not convinced that the eukaryotic flagella are spirochetes, because she thinks that spirochetes are like these very wispy, spirally-esque bacteria, and so they look sort of, if you close your eyes a bit, they look a bit like the long tails of eukaryotic flagella, but just the underlying structure of eukaryotic flagella are very different. So there is
Now, it
no
looks like Logan
there's
has
no
some things to
there's no
say.
evidence that they are endosymbionts. No.
So
Here it
he's
is.
saying cells communicate,
Okay.
cytokines.
Type 3 secretion system. TTSS. That is what I was looking for.
Oh yeah,
That's-
that's the structure related to the bacterial flagellum specifically. Yeah. Because the archaea flagellum is also different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks a hell of a lot. It's got the outer membrane rings, it's got the connector, the inner membrane, but it does not have a flagella. It's got like a needle with a tip on it.
Right.
And it's called the type 3 secretion system, and I'm going to link that in because that looks like a good candidate for development.
Although there is some studies who suggest that the type 3 secretory system is a newer structure than the bacterial flagellum. But even if that's the case, it's still a functional. It's still a reduced complex of the and still functional. Like so you can it still demonstrates that you can reduce the flagellum and still have a functional complex, basically. Yeah.
Yes, we must never forget that the basal types of organisms that we're looking at today as primitives have also evolved for 3.5 billion years. So,
and it must also be noted that that even a smaller structure like this, that there is within both the bacterial flagellum and the type 3 secretory system, you have the parts that are homologous to the ATP synthase. So basically, the ATP synthase is the so-called ancestor of both structure, or at least a part of these structures comes from the ATP synthase.
Yeah, and I think these outer membrane rings and inner membrane rings, I'm not entirely sure, but they could be related. Proteins have a tendency to form these propellers, these beta propellers, and they have a tendency to polymerize in certain ways to form these complex structures. And that is a real common theme throughout molecular evolution, where they get together and one would have to look at each of these proteins and start to check on how that particular piece could have evolved in small steps. And that's my complaint about, creationists not looking to the Bible first and coming to a full stop and never considering how these things evolved. By the way, there's a gene that apparently alleviates COVID symptoms significantly that they found. And I happen to have my genome sequenced. And I looked and tried to figure out whether or not I had this particular variant. And I could not figure it out because they didn't give you enough information about what the variant was. So it's going to take a lot of work for me to figure it out. But when I looked at my gene, this particular gene, I got about 30 mutations, including a couple of insertions and deletions. And God, I'm a mutant. But I'm guessing all of my genes are there's so much variability in genes between humans, and yet I'm still alive, after 71 years. But
I know, but
it's interesting to look at your own genes.
Mutations will kill you, though, won't they?
Well, I don't know. I got a lot of them. If I'm still kicking, so I thought it was interesting.
Too stubborn to die.
Too stubborn to die. So what are we shooting ahead?
Oh, I still some last thing to show, but hold on.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, why can I not show it? Oh.
We love content.
Because
especially when we don't have any. Especially when me and Scott haven't brought any. Well, I shouldn't speak for you, Scott. I should only pick on myself, right?
Well, we could have just launched into Rosenhaus's book.
Yeah, but not today. Oh, I need a nap.
There we
He's
go.
just not feeling it.
Not feeling it.
I got it. Someone in the chat says that the type 3 secretory system is more complex than the flagella, but I don't think it's true. Like in this figure, it shows basically the components of the flagellum and the type 3 secretory system, and also, for reference, the ATP synthase, and it color codes the proteins based on homology, basically. And as you can see, the flagellum has more components to it. Pretty much. And also like people like Stephen Meyer from the Discovery Institute, who will say that the type 3 secretory system is just a broken flagellum. It's not important. It's not a refutation of irreducible complexity. But wait a minute, it is, because you just admit that the flagellum can be reduced and still function. It's like you have just proven yourself wrong there.
Cool. Do you have a link to that illustration or the paper that is from?
It's in the private chat, isn't it?
It's this paper right there. No, it's a new paper that I share. So I will give the link in the private chat.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll go ahead and put it in the description. Did you just put that in there? Let's see. Loki, will you get the fuck out of the way, Loki?
Loki hates knowledge.
I know. He's working for the creationists, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
He doesn't realize they're not going to worship him, but if he works with them, he just doesn't realize that they don't respect Loki.
They don't respect Loki. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is a problem.
Not even Thor. He's not. They're not going to get to rule Middle Earth. Midgard, I mean.
Thor ain't going to be ruling anything if he doesn't lose weight. God, he's huge.
Well, who's in control of that?
Yeah, I'd kind of cut him down on party time.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, a little bit.
That'll work.
Yep.
Of course, they're just big boys anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, they're kind of big. They've gotten a lot bigger in the last year. I don't know why. They must have hit middle age, and they put on the middle age middle is what happened. Mm-hmm. The middle age middle. Let me see here if I got something. Oh, do I have it? Come on.
Well, yeah, Bree. Asgard is where the gods live, but isn't Midgard where humans are? See, yeah. I don't know how. I sound like a Marvel enthusiast, and I don't know if that's really what the Norse people, how they divided up the world.
I think they have like 7 realms, right? And, I don't know all of them on the top of my head. But they have Asgard and Midgard, and also Hell with one L, not Hell with 2 L's, like the Hell you are familiar with Hell in HEL basically.
Yeah, HEL.
Yeah. Also, ironically, in the origin of eukaryotes, you have like one group of archaea who are specifically thought to be involved in the origin of eukaryotes, and the group of archaea is called Asgard, and you have one group called Loki Archaeota, Odin Archaeota, Thor Archaeota, Heimdall Archaeota. It's a fun name, really good, well named group of prokaryotes. And you have also a recently described group which is called Wukong Archaeota, named after the Wukong from the Journey to the West epic of Chinese literature. Yeah. Although it's not the same thing as the Norse mythology, of course, but it's still a neat addition to the group of Asgard.
So are these your raccoons, Speed?
Yep. 36 of them last night.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a lot of raccoon. and look how fat they are. Look how fat they are.
They are really fat. Of course, they're going into
big boys.
Why did they get so fat? They weren't fat in the spring. But they're fat now.
Is this live?
No.
Oh.
That happens at about 8 o'clock at night. basically.
The lighting is good.
Yeah, we got really bright LED lights out
And they're
there.
not and they're not afraid of the light.
No, they come right up to
Yeah.
me. They jump up on my leg now.
But
And,
Speed, I have to ask: have you got your the rabies vaccine? Because if you continue like this, you will increase your odds of getting rabies.
Well, I got flu and COVID booster today. I'll get rabies tomorrow. So give me a break. Anyway, those are pretty cool. That was last night. Sent that
Make
to
sure
my
your tetanus is up too, because if they scratch you up or whatever, you might want to make sure you're defended against tetanus.
They're amazingly gentle with everything except other raccoons. They bite, they attack each other, but then they come up to me and they lovingly reach out and touch me, and it's really kind of cool. So very interesting.
Oh, yeah. I saw somebody puts the names of all the realms in the side chat. Oh, it turns out that the complete name of hell is Helheim, of course, because some of them end with Heim. And you have also Jotunheim. I think that's the realm of the giants, and Elfheim is the elf realm. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's quit, guys. Okay.
Yeah, Speed overdid it for the amount of immunization he got yesterday.
Goodness, my arms are so sore right now. I can't even breathe. Okay. Hang it up.
It's up to you.
Say goodbye, guys. Say goodbye.
Everybody go over and watch Myth Vision podcast at 5 p.m. Central, 6 Eastern.
7 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good talk about Akhenaten and monotheism.
Yep. Okay, goodbye, cruel world.
Yeah!